I ask for the truth on behalf of Grace Elliot concerning career issues. She's thinking of selling spell kits. Should she sell on Amazon? Should she start in March? Or what's going on with this? I ask in the name of truth, right conduct, peace, love and non-violence. Blessed be to the crow, the carrier of souls from darkness into light. And we place the crow's magic tarot to the side and we'll deal out 3 cards. In a 3-card spread, of course, a past, present, future spread. In this particular scenario, we have the first card, which represents the recent past influence, which is about 3 or 4 weeks or so ago, about a moon phase or so, just behind there. And then the next card represents the present influence, and then finally, of course, the immediate future influence there. And we just place that there. So we've got our 3 cards, and of course the recent past influence is a moon phase behind, the immediate future is a moon phase ahead. So that's about 3 or 4 weeks or so ago, 3 or 4 weeks or so into the immediate foreseeable future, with of course Grace Elliot right here in the middle right now. What we'll do then, we'll pull out the first card. We'll establish what's been going on with the first card, and because the question was a pretty sort of detailed one, we can relate or link, as you would say, the meaning of that card to the recent past, Grace, to your recent past, with relation to the question you've asked. So we can sort of get insight, I suppose, at this point, and then maybe insight and guidance a bit later on. Of course, guidance from the past as well. We can learn a lot from that, can't we? Let's now flip this card over and let's just see what's going on. Flip it over nice and slow though, nice and steady, not to disturb the energy. And then as you can see there, you've got the 2 of Wands. The 2 of Wands. Crowley calls the 2 of Wands the Lord of Dominion. This has got like an Aries feel to it, doesn't it? I suppose like a controlling sort of dominion sort of feel there as well. Enterprising as well. Notice how Crow indicates that just recently you've been bold and enterprising there. That certainly is a good sign, isn't it? And I'll just grab a chocolate thing here, Malteser as they call them. We just settle in there, and just a quick sip of the old nice sip of the old coffee there, just to get it down. Straight away, of course, we can see here that yes, bold and enterprising, Lord of Dominion. Of course, 2, the number 2, is to do with the element of air. That's because the numbers 2 and 3 are to do with the element of air. So, in this particular case, because it's the 2 of Wands, Wands is to do with fire, so you could say it's the airy part of fire, couldn't you? Creative and transmissive powers of spiritual essence. I suppose really to some degree there has been a lot of communication going on just recently, maybe phone calls being made. Of course you're looking on the internet, no doubt. The internet seems to be the the sort of be all and end all these days, but of course I suppose it may help to communicate with others as well, like friends or whatever, I don't know, just to see how they get on and whatever. Of course you'd have to do your homework there, but nevertheless you've been bold. I suppose really in a way taking a risk sort of comes to mind there, doesn't it? It's like as if you've been taking a risk, or been prepared to take a risk anyway. And I suppose really that's what it's about, isn't it? I'd sort of like focus on the mist in the background, the yellow mist, maybe the yellow of the gut chakra or something. Maybe you feel it in your gut, although uncertain, nevertheless you're prepared to be bold and enterprising in that sort of regard. So at least you want to do this. Of course, the question was about spell kits and things like that. Usually, I mean, from a personal point of view, usually spells are to be done. If you want a spell done, you used to do it yourself, really. I don't know if they're DIY spell kits or if they are spells that you've prepared for them. I can't see how you do that. It's something, of course, they have to do that themselves. So it would be a kit, like you say, a spell kit, wouldn't it? Like just the various odds and sods that are needed for that particular ritual. But of course, you can't sell them an altar. You can't sell them a chalice. You can't sell them an athame. You can't sell them a desk, an altar cloth, and candles, and all that sort of thing. And you can't sell them a wand or anything like that. That's usually, if you're going down the route of casting spells, you certainly need an altar and all the altar pieces there, the elemental weapons, as you would call them, for the altar. Maybe that's another thing you could probably look into, probably just selling altar pieces as well. I don't know. But from a spell kit point of view, of course, I suppose anybody who has an altar, as no doubt you probably do yourself, you'd think people would sort of, not automatically know what they want to do, but certainly they'd be studying it themselves. So I don't know what sort of market you're looking for. Of course, when we're selling these sort of things, if you're selling healing, you don't sell healing. Healing is done with the kindness and the unconditional love from one's heart, of course. If it's divination like this, for example, that's why you charge for readings like this normally, because it's the unwritten law says there has to be an exchange for something that you want, like a reading. You don't need a reading, but you need healing. But too many people, of course, sell healing, don't they? Under the guise that you're buying their time. You're paying for the time, and the healing is free. It's a bit like a pair of shoes. You buy one and get one free. It's the same. It's the same thing, isn't it? It's the same scenario you can view it with. Philosophy or whatever. I want to see what's going on now with Grace for the present, so we can link up this bold and enterprising energy that you've recently, maybe you've been inspired by something or other, and you thought, oh, I can do that. If they can do it, sure, I can do that. A bit like some people, they go on a random or even on Facebook and they go out, buy a pack of angel cards from the local bookshop, and I'm a psychic for some reason. I'm a reader and I know all about reading, when really I've just bought a pack of bloody angel cards. This is this thing about spell kits. You have to be careful when you do magic, of course, don't you? Let's just see what is going on at present. You've got the Knights of Swords there, as you can just see. The Knight is an airy sort of energy, a bit like the Two of Wands, doesn't it, in that regard. It's an airy part of air, though, isn't it? That's got like a Libra Gemini and Aquarius there as part of that. Of course, it's a court card, isn't it? But that doesn't mean much to that degree. But in a sense, usually the knight or the chevalier or cavalier or whatever is often known as like a traveller, often seen on a horse. Not necessarily, of course, physical movement, but spiritual movement as well, in the sense of putting things into motion. In this regard, though, the Knight of Swords is rather a sort of, notice the bird people there. You've got the four-legged ones here providing you protection with your enterprising initiative, or what you want to call it there. But of course, this is manifest itself to now guidance. So that blue, I don't know if the blue as the throat chakra, maybe guidance through communication or communicative guidance in some way. But either way, right now there is you are found wanting. You've got good intent, I suppose, but nevertheless there is the hunger as well. Right now, a strong desire or hunger, not desire, but certainly a longing to do, or a longing for, or a longing to do it. But in what way? I mean, of course, the flesh is willing, the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak, in the sense of, I suppose, what's the intent behind this as you want to do? Of course, you're asking if you should sort of sell or start on Amazon or something like that, or maybe eBay, or I don't know. I tend to see more stuff on eBay more than Amazon, really. I suppose it's a bit more open, and I don't know, or not open, but a bit more varied, as you would say. I don't know if it's because Amazon is regulated. Maybe the regulations are a bit more, although you could buy I think you could buy a costume, a mental illness costume, couldn't you? A psychiatric patient costume on Amazon, until they stopped all that. I suppose it's got its dark side, hasn't it? And I suppose that's when you think about that sort of thing, you have to be careful about light and dark. And while I'm doing it for the best of intent, well, of course, you're doing it to make money. It's natural, it's career. It's there to help people. Is it there to help heal, or what's the purpose? We can start off healing, but love spells and things like that, I don't know. I tend to sort of steer clear from them to some degree, because of the karmic. Because remember, when you're selling a spell, you're selling karma as well, aren't you? You're selling the karmic effects, because it isn't for us to dish out justice, and it isn't for us to make things happen for personal gain or whatever, unless we're healing or something like that. So you're selling karmic. You're selling karma as well, aren't you? The karmic effects of it, which of course will backfire on you. You have to be prepared for that. Yes, Crow enters into the darkness without fear and can help you do the same. But there is this longing, of course, this hunger that you feel as though you've got to be. I've got a funny feeling as though you've got a hunger, as though you've got to be doing something. But you don't know what. Like you said, do I start selling them on Amazon? Do I do it in March? When do I start? Of course, you're not knowing that may sort of be an indication of not so much not knowing what you're doing, but just the intent and the, like I say, the spirit is willing, but the flesh not so much as weak, but is just slightly inexperienced, or maybe. Unless you're after feedback, of course, you can ask what people want, or of course study and see what people sort of. But what people want and what people need are two totally separate things. Healing is needed, isn't it? But we give that free, don't we? We give that free of charge. We don't give it free of charge and we charge somebody for the time. We don't do that one. That's the scam behind it. And that's why healing doesn't work when you pay for it. But that's just a secret between you and me there, Grace, as you know. What we'll do, we'll just flip this card, rotate the card nice and slowly, just to reveal the next energy as we've got it there. And as you can see, that's the Nine of Swords. That's got a Gemini feel to it as well, like a partnership or Gemini sort of feel to it as well. It seems as if maybe, it's a partnership there, with it being here as well right now. And Aries, although you've gained control and got dominion of the situation there, it's your business in the sense it's your shop or your store or whatever you want to call it. Regardless of that, I've got a funny feeling as though you've got longing to be in partnership with somebody. Maybe. Why I'm thinking, I don't know. It's just because I said partnership there, isn't it? The Nine of Swords, of course, any number between 4 and 9. That's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. The numbers 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. They're to do with the element of water. So that indicates that this is the watery part of. As you know, swords is air. So notice how all these are minor arcana cards as well. We'll just go into that in just a moment. But the Nine of Swords, of course, swords is air. So you could say the watery part of air. The mental and moral qualities of creative and transmissive powers. They're just trying to put some ethical value into that. Just like with the longing for true intent, a good intent. With that, I suppose you could say that's trying to put like a sort of a moral sort of aspect into whatever it is you're searching for on this journey. But of course, Crowley calls the Nine of Swords the Lord of Cruelty. I was just talking about the minor arcana cards there. I think I'll just grab a sip of this. This is a nice coffee. I might grab one of these, another one of these. These chocolate Maltesers, as they call them. It's really, as I said, like the Lord of Cruelty. I don't know what this is about, but certainly Crow tends to seem to foretell for sort of like late February, early March time, of course. You're saying about, shall we start in March or whenever. I was thinking of April. April as the beginning of the financial year, isn't it? Normally. Here in the UK it is anyway. But of course with the cruelty involved, this tends to focus on Crow tends to foretell some form of crucifixion on its way, some sort of torture, as if whatever it is you're longing for, there's punishment involved. Somebody may, or something, so as I say, somebody. Certainly, somebody may have it in for you. To sort of use a rough sort of way of looking at it. Maybe they might feel as if they want to drive the knife in and start accusing you of things. I'm thinking of accusations. Of course, they say the devil is the accuser, don't they, or the father of lies. The devil, of course, the 666 is the devil within, and that's the lie. The devil tells you, the most negative side of yourself will lie to you. But I got a feeling as though this is an external force that Crow is warning you of here. That I always tend to focus on these 5 feathers here on this particular card here, and it always reminds me of like the 5 wounds of Christ. It's like only 4 are necessary, if ever they were, but only 4 were necessary, in the sense of like the 2 in the hands and the 2 and the wounds in the feet, of course. Or the ankles, whatever, for the nails. But of course, you have when they take the dead body off the crosses. You'd say they just stab him in the side, just make sure he's dead anyway. He's bled to death, he's dead, and that's the end of it anyway. But just make sure he's dead. We'll just stab him anyway, which we could have done right at the beginning instead of putting him on a cross for 3 or 4 hours. But either way, it's there, isn't it? It's just like as if I get this feeling as though, not so much oppression, because obviously the 9 of Wands is the Lord of oppression, but this is like the 9 of Swords, as if, yes, things are wearing out. Things will be wearing a bit thin, and maybe with your intent to sell on Amazon or eBay or wherever it is you want to you want to sell, or regardless of what study you may or may not have done, or whatever. It seems as though somebody may have it in for you, or something, I don't know. It could be a member of the family, it could be a friend, or a rival even, who wants to be in there instead, and will accuse you of it could be, and just a simple case that trying to get started will be torture. But the crucifixion side of it, the cruelty, and in that sense, I just got a feeling there's an external force going to be at work here, trying to bring you down or stop you from doing this. I mean, of course, I was on about, like I said earlier, I was on about, you're selling karma as well, aren't you? And it'll backfire on you. And I suppose in a way this may be, but do you start in March or April if you do it? I don't know. This is starting in March, of course. This just foretells really for, I suppose, for the foreseeable to sort of like the end of February, if you get what I mean there. So, of course, this may have worn itself out by then. I want to, given the fact that we're using crow energy to try and guide through the darkness into the light, or to get some insight, guidance and healing in that regard. I wonder if we could just pull out I thought of an animal spirit guide card there or something, but I thought I'd try these power animal, see if your power animals may be able to just guide you for the foreseeable future concerning this. It may contradict it, but just on behalf of Grace Elliot there, we just ask Spirit of Raven to just step in with a bit of guidance. Just ask this in the name of truth, right conduct, peace, love and non-violence. Blessed be to Raven and all the power animal spirits who guide, heal and protect. I will just move these chocolate thingies over here and just place these power animal cards here. What we'll do, we'll just see what's about the recent past, of course, with the enterprising, the bold, the initiative energy there. That's, of course, is a credit to you, really. Just when I've just Pinched another one of these, of course. We'll place the first card here. I'll just do, probably place one on top of each. Let's just see what's going on here. Antelope, that is of course to do with decisiveness there, and really just really advising you to make a decision and then take appropriate action, which is what you've been doing, isn't it, really? So decisiveness, I suppose really that's what the bold and enterprising energy has been there with the Aries and taking control. The decisiveness there, maybe that's what you've done. You've had to make, or you should have. If you did do, I don't know, but certainly maybe that's what it is. Maybe you should have made a decision and taken appropriate action back then. So instead of saying, well, will I sell and will I start up, or should go on Amazon around March time or whenever, maybe you should have done it back then. I get this feeling as though it should have been done before this. You should have done it. Of course, the benefit of hindsight is a wonderful thing. But it seems as though decisiveness, of course, any animal spirit there really represents the soul part, that part of you that's got lost in the void, and the soul part that represents your decisiveness got lost in the void. And of course, once you're able to make a decision and take appropriate action again, that's when Antelope will have healed you and reunited you with that soul part and retrieved that soul part. But it seems as though decisiveness, you may have had trouble making a decision and taking appropriate action. Although, like I say, with the bold and initiative, the bold and decisive sort of energy there, it just sort of, maybe you did what you should have done, taking the appropriate action, but you should have done it back then. Okay, if you did do it or not, I don't know. Maybe you did and thought, well, shall I complete it in April or something like that? I don't know. Let's move on and let's just see about this this desire, this longing for that you've got, this hunger for whatever it is you want to do. Not so much desire really. I'm taking off the wrong deck there. It's this deck here. Let's just see what we've got here with regards to what's happening now. And now, as you can see, Raven, of course, Crow is king here with the Crow's Magic Tarot, of course, that we're reading from. But Raven is indicating magic right now. And this is what we were on about just then. Of course, you're selling magic spells, aren't you, in that regard? So, for as much as, I suppose, you're helping others to own their power, in that sense, you're helping others, of course, nevertheless, right now, you must own your power as well. You must, although you've got a longing for and whatever, and your intent is there to do it, you must own that power and you must do it in that regard. Get yourself out of this darkness and into the light. Of course, of what? The cruelty that's ahead. Maybe you're going to need that power to oversee any rival who may be doing the same thing, because you won't be the only one doing it. You only got to search Amazon or eBay or anywhere, the internet in general, and you'll see these things on sale. So it isn't as if these hobbies or interests can be catered for by the professionals. If you can't be bothered doing it yourself, then pay for it and do what you want. Get whatever you want, can't you? Let's see what of course, the energy of the cruelty in the immediate future is, and what animal spirit is here helping you. Oh, look at that! We've just said that, haven't we? With the beaver brother there, of course. That's just more to do with productiveness, isn't it? And it's just saying go ahead and just do it, really, regardless of the cruelty that is there. Go ahead and do it anyway. What have you got to lose? Well, there you go. Focus on, of course, the four-legged ones here and the guidance right now. It's as if you were protected with the four-legged ones who walk the earth. They protect. And there's protection for you in the immediate future from that cruelty. But crow, or raven as we say, provides the guidance there that maybe you need, because, well, you know what you want, but how do I go and do it? Well, you go and do it by owning your power, saying this is my situation, only I can get out of this rut that I'm in, or whatever it is from that point of view, and only I can get on and do it, basically. And it's the getting on and doing it that may protect you as well, because others may, with the cruelty, I was on about the external force there, of maybe I locked onto the external force. I sort of feel as it might be, with it being that sort of thing where somebody just wants to stick the nails in, ram the bloody knife in, or however you want to call it. Rub the salt in the wound a bit and start accusing you of this and that and the other. Nevertheless, if you go ahead and do what you want to do anyway, well, I'm going to do it. I don't care what you say. You can say I'm of the devil. Your imaginary friend can condemn me just as I've got. But as a witch, I can tell you now that I've got more imaginary friends than you, so I've got a gang against yours. I can gang up on you, basically, to that degree. But back to from a pragmatic point of view, of course, it's just a case of yes, you should have decided what you wanted to have done back then, over the past 3 or 4 weeks or so, over the past moon phase. You should have really decided to do this back then. It would have saved a lot of trouble, instead of, yes, you were enterprising, yes, you were bold, so it looks as though maybe the energy was there, and yes, you were doing it then, but making the decision to get on with it and do it, you should have decided that, made the final decision, maybe it's just whatever back then, and of course now you're left longing, you're left wanting, you're left in hunger for, with a good intent to sort it out, but you're left in hunger because you didn't do what you should have done then, and you've got to do now. You've got to own your power. You've got to admit to it, own your power that you could have done, so you can just get on and do it, literally, in that sense, regardless of the cruelty that's coming. Just beware. That's a warning, that is. Crow is just warning you that there may be cruelty involved. There may be, yes, it may, that just may be, in the simple sense, somebody else is selling the same thing for cheaper, or somebody else might start saying, I thought of that first, or I sell that. How can you sell the same one when I'm selling it as well? So you've got all that shit going on. But regardless of that, we have to remember that, of course, other than you having to own your power right now, you have to realise that you're helping others to own their power, and of course that means karma. And if you're selling spells, you're selling karma. Spell kits, in my view, are just karma kits. I can bring on enough karma. I can treat karma as an occupational hazard. I don't need to pay for it, if you know what I mean. Why I'm thinking of just writing a book in my head then, writing a book. Why I'm thinking maybe if you wrote a book, you could sell that on Amazon. If you wrote a book, you could probably sell that on Amazon, couldn't you? Depends, of course, your literary skills, whatever, the productiveness there, go ahead and do whatever you want to do. Beaver Brother, nevertheless, is saying go ahead and do it, regardless of the cruelty, regardless of the cruel competition, regardless of the accusations, or or whatever punishment somebody might want to try and take you to court for, or whatever. Just go and do it. Own your power, that you should have made a decision back then, but benefit of hindsight is a wonderful thing there. When you were enterprising, when you were bold, when you had the initiative back then, you should have made the decision to do it then instead. Maybe, yes, as I say, benefit of hindsight, all that sort of thing, but we can't really define ourselves by what we did then. All we can do is take guidance from that, learn from it, and own your power, and help others to own theirs as well, and provide, yes, the magic. This is about magic, remember. But of course you're left wanting, you're left in the hunger department there, in a sense of the sort of need to move on and need to do this. I've got to do something. I so want to do it, but the simple answer is own your power, and then go ahead and do it in the next between now and the end of February. Just get on and do it. And maybe that's what it is. Maybe you just got the fear of that cruelty, or the fear of the competition, or whatever it is ahead, and that's what's holding you back. But you've got a longing to do it. You may feel you're not capable enough. But Crow and Raven, they'll give you the capability. Raven certainly will give you the will give you the wisdom there, to the magic anyway, and provide you with that energy. And both Crow and Raven, of course, carry the soul from darkness into light. So either way, whatever the long-term result is, if you end up punished after going ahead and doing it, well, at least going ahead and doing it will protect you. Well, at least I got off my arse and did it, instead of sitting on my arse, drinking and smoking all day, and accusing people of being of the devil and things like that, and going to church every Sunday and then robbing on Monday. That's another subject, which really we're not going into here. So I think for that, I think we've covered what we can. We've drained it of its energy, really, haven't we? So with that then, I think for now, Grace, unless we're drawn again, or unless you can get guidance elsewhere, or unless when you need it. Of course, seek guidance when it's needed. It's just if you go when it's wanted, it tends to fall on deaf ears, and it doesn't have the same impact, does it? We can all be accused of that. But the decision that you're saying that you want to make, do I make that decision? Do I go ahead in March? Yes, the answer is yes, or at least the end of February anyway. Although this is more to do with March, isn't it, really, with it being sort of nearly February now. It'll be the end of February, or between now and the end of February then. Do you go ahead and do it? Yes, you do. But why didn't you do it back then, when you had the initiative, when you were bold and enterprising then, when you were, I suppose, dressing to impress back then? Why? I suppose the question is, why didn't I do it back then, when I should have decided back then? I should have made the decision and took the appropriate action back then. Around maybe about Christmas time-ish, or something like the Christmas-ish time, or around about then maybe, or sometime last year, and got myself ready for the new year as opposed to the financial year. But now it's it's dragged on a bit, and maybe it'll be punishing in that just sense of the word, as you would say. With just circumstance, just sod's law, maybe, of course, that could just be fate. But then again, Grace, do you believe in fate, or do you believe in destiny? That's the number one question. As I say, to round up, do I go ahead doing it on Amazon in around about March? Yes, but you should have done it back then. You should have done it last month. Or over the past moon phase. You should have done it earlier. when you had the go in you, and of course now you're left longing. Maybe the longing is you're just wishing that you had done it back then. Maybe if that's understandable, Crow is just saying, Raven, there we'll provide you with the magic, own your power, and just get on with it. Stop putting it off. We can all do it tomorrow. Tell me about that. That's being human, or is it just being stupid? I don't know what it is. Just idolitis. So yes, but I like I say, I just finally there, I just sort of lie in my head and write a book or something like that. Write a book about it, and that'd sell on Amazon, because Amazon are the book market as well. So either and or the book side of it. Okay then, Grace, I think we've covered what we can for now. We say blessed be to Raven and all the power animal spirits who guide, heal and protect, and blessed be to the Crow, the carrier of souls from darkness into light. For now, these cards have spoken.